Mustang. Alongside him, Boetie van Sail in the Ford Fairmont GT 351cc from Extreme Auto. And up behind him, Brian Evans in probably what has to be the prettiest escort I've seen in a long time, JT.
I mean, you look at it and you just go, wow, that is showroom spec, but you'll never see that thing on a showroom floor unless it's for a classics event, because where it really shines is here on the tarmac. And as always, it's shined and buffed to perfection every single time. And you can see that blue and grey, or blue and silver rather, really popping in the sun of such a lovely sunny day.
Alongside him, Dave Aladef in the 325i BMW, then Telebus MSP Racing BM. Then just behind him there is one of the should I say, main members, Robert Rowe in the Feltred BMW. Then we've got Trevor Hutchings, or I think Lane Hutchings is probably in that car. Trevor's in the, yeah, Lane is in the Sirocco. And then we've got the, let's have a look. Josh Dovey, yeah, he's in the Janetta G4R. Josh Dovey's there. Then Theo Klaassen. And then a man that's having a little bit of issues at the moment is Bruce Vern Taplin's Corolla. And Bruce Vern Taplin had to put another motor in, an old motor, because his other motor went pop. And they're still busy building it.
And someone that's also not out now this afternoon is Wayne Lotter. He had, as far as I remember, last night when we drove past his pit garage, the gearbox casing had cracked and all the way through.
Well, all three of the Lotters are not participating, because I believe that his brother Daniel Lotter has now migrated from Pretoria to Plattekloof, and his nephew is unfortunately playing some golf tournament up north. Well, saying that Daniel Lotter is on circuit. There goes the Capri, the Zach Speed looking Capri.
He obviously gave up the golf for the day.
No, that's the senior. That's
sorry.
senior. Yeah,
he did have an issue in qualifying this morning. I saw him roll. He was rolled back into.
So he didn't qualify so well. He's the back. I see Arnold Lambert's in the Sapphire, the V8 Sapphire as well. Fine cars. They had to put a coil on it earlier on. I believe Michael Hayden Bogart helped him out. So I got a coil in that one, the coil pack. So that's working. Remember, the old cars still work off the old coil. The modern cars have got a coil pack on each cylinder. So that is just the difference, but you still get those spares around. I mean, a lot of people hold them, so it's not like it's needles in haystacks. Yeah, the 140Z of Martin Richards is back. Nice to have Martin back, I say. Yeah, that's the ex-Brian Medine 140Y that he's riding. So nice to have Martin back out. And Martin is one of the stalwarts of classic cars here in Cape Town. Just a little bit of banter that I heard earlier. Boetie van Sail and Fatty Maton. Now, Fatty Maton is riding on, he's got dual tires in the front and he's got slicks at the back because one of his rims cracked and he was losing air pressure, so he had to change it. So I said, yeah, it looks like Nankang tires. But anyhow, the pace car pulls off to the right-hand side, and the pace setter is Michael Hitchcock in the Crosscape Forklift Ford Mustang, 68 Mustang. And alongside him, Franco Donadio in.
Well, as they lead off towards the line, the revs will climb and the engines will roar as the lights go out, and away we go between both classes. The Laude Classic cars and the Kaltron Fine cars that will just lead out behind the Classics. Into block point corner they go. And around cleanly, all 30 cars in the Classics class come through. Then the rest of the field, 36 make up the entire entry. So about 28 cars in Classics and about 8 in the Fine cars. There's the Janetta of Josh Dovey. There's Dion Conradi. Theo Klaassen, they all make their way through. And of course, that beautiful Sapphire of Arnold Lambert also comes into frame. And side by side, they go through Dam's Dip. and down towards Sorrel Streep the leaders come.
Right, so it's Michael Hitchcock lead out on Franco Donadio. Donadio's pressing already. He would like to get ahead now as he works his way down the Kalani straight away, down towards Pertamina Fastron. But the V8 muscle gets stuck in there. And having a look, Louis Powell in that 2-litre Escort still sitting up there behind him. When Louis brings back an RX-7 Mazda, I don't know. But in the meantime, he's there in the Escort. And holding it out there as they work their way through Pertamina Fastron. The rest of the field leading to Fastron. Coming out there now, it's still Hitchcock, Donadio, Powell. They come down into Block Coin Corner.
Yep, you see them all leading out this huge group of cars coming down towards turn number 1, Block Coin Corner. There's Louis Powell, there's Momberg. There goes Ferdy Mouton, Brian Evans, there's Boetie van Sail, there's Dancing Dave Aladef and Josh Dovey, there's Lane Hutchings and Robert Rowe. There's Bruce Evan Taplin. The whole field's coming through now in Classics. And then here, as you see the back end, there is Bradley Rowe. There is Calvin Bierkman, Malcolm Pfeiffer. And then there's the first of the fine cars with the Sapphire. They all lead through very close together with the Clubman, with the Classics and the fine cars. As now we're back to the lead here going through Dams Dip.
Boetie van Sail's great. So there with the Ford Fairmont, Dovies, Janetta there, followed by Dancing Dave Aladef. The rest of the field work their way through there. There's the Beetle of Dave Rowley, works his way through Dion Conradi's hatchback as they go down. The rest of the guys down into Pertamina Fastron Corner now. Still Michael Hitchcock leading out there in the Cross Cape Forklift Ford Mustang. And going down in there, you got the likes there of Momberg, Van der Merwe, Evans, Mouton. There's Trevor Momberg, Eric van der Merwe sits up behind him there, and then up behind him, Jared Evans. Nice return from Eric van der Merwe in that Porsche. Up behind him there's Ferdy Mouton, then Brian Evans, and then Boetie van Sail with Josh Dovey. Dancing Dave Aladef up behind him, Rowe, then Hutchings, that's, and then Bruce Van Taplin. So everyone rolling through there. Great stuff as they make their way out of Pertamina.
Yep, here is your leader, Michael Hitchcock, pulling away now from Franco Donadio. And Louis Powell, the 1 and 2 position escorts in second and third. And then the rest of the field comes through. There's the Capri, there's another Mustang, the likes of Mouton, Evans, there's Boetie van Sail, there's Josh Dovey, there's Dancing Dave Aladef and Lane Hutchings, Robert Rowe. Then you see a few others coming. There's Jared Thompson. There is Trevor Hutchings. There's Conradi. There is Blom, de Kock. All these cars coming in. There's Lotte Senior, as you see, come in now. All of them are still quite close together, as well as the fine cars that are right on the tail of the Classics.
Yeah, no, the fines having also a great scrap there. Arnold Lambert still leading out there, but that's great. There's your leader going down into turn 5. That's Michael Hitchcock. That 68 Mustang Coupe giving it absolute storm warnings out there. Franco Donadio. And have a look at Louis Powell putting it sideways in the Escort. Wow, is he having fun out there or what? Rest of the field coming through. There's the likes of Mouton with Evans, and then Boetie van Sail, Josh Dovey. There's Dancing Dave Aladef there with Lane Hutchings. Going through there, Robert Rowe, Jared Thompson, Trevor Hutchings in the Golf there with Theo Klaas, and then a Bruce Van Taplin, followed there by Dion Conradi. Jock Blom goes through there, Hammond de Kock, and then Young Rowe working his way through there as well.
Yeah, now you see there is Michael Hitchcock, the Cross Cape Forklifts entry. Roger Lewis was just behind in the MG in the fine cars class, so the first of the lapped cars comes into play. This will definitely change things up for those battling. I do see the Morgan of Dave Alexander, I believe it is, has pulled over to the side of the circuit between the Lundstem kink. But then look at that, there's Momberg, there is Van der Merwe, there is Evans. They all run through. That'll be for 4th, 5th and 6th overall. 1st and 2nd in class between Trevor Momberg and Brian and Jared Evans rather, as they run down towards Pertamina Fastron and still passing that back bar of Roger Lewis. That's still sitting in class in the fine cars. As now there goes Brian Evans and Ferdy Mouton. There's Josh Dovey and Boetie van Sail. And once again, rocketing down towards turn number 1, block coin. They all will go.
Going down into block coin corner. There's Franco Donadio going through. Have a look at Louis Powell in that aging escort, giving it absolute horns there. Up behind him, Trevor Momberg. Eric van der Merwe still fending off Jared Evans. That's a good scrap there. Ferdy Maton and Boetie van Sail coming through there, but he's got Josh Dovey on his inside. Dovey in that little Janetta trying to squeeze his way through, and Dovey gets it right. Josh enjoying that little Janetta. He's like a little Lego block in between all these big cars, but he's giving it absolute horns now into Castro corner. That Janetta looking absolutely sweet and classic and very period specific.
Absolutely, and some of these cars are built very periodically specific, and some of the fine cars are passing at the back end of the classics. But there is Ferdy Mouton and Brian Evans really fighting it out. Brian's son Jared just ahead. You can see his son in the distance. Boetie van Sail, one of the biggest cars out on circuit versus one of the smallest with Josh Dovey. They were still fighting it out a moment ago. Then I saw Aladef and Lane Hutchings. But there we see, there's Malcolm Pfeiffer and Daniel Laude. Then there is the Sapphire of Arnold Lambert with Bradley Rowe. Then there is the second Sandra Becker, Calvin Beckman. And then there's Dave Alexander. Sorry, I got that wrong earlier with the other car out on circuit. But there's the Sapphire, there's the BMW E46 of Sandra Becker. And then there is Dave Alexander in the Morgan. So that's your top 3, mixing it up with some of the classics.
Well, coming out of turn number 2 now is your leaders, but let me tell you something. A man that's on the move is Josh Dovey. He is absolutely peddling that little Janetta and sitting up now behind Ferdy Maton. He got past Brian Evans. He'll come into picture pretty shortly. You see the little car. There comes the little Janetta now towards the right-hand side of the screen. He's right up behind Ferdy Maton. And I'm telling you something, he's now suddenly got a turn of speed and is now passing the guys at an alarming rate.
Yeah, look how close that is getting now. Josh Dovey is mixing it up. That Janetta is so light and so nimble that it's really, it's smaller than the Escorts. And generally the Escorts are the smaller ones, minus, of course, the Morris of Calvin Beckman and the Minis that we don't quite see anymore. There they go through Sorrel's sweep now. There's the likes of Malcolm Pfeiffer. There's Arnold Lambert in the incredibly legendary Ford Sapphire, Sandra Becker in the E46 BMW, and then there's Bradley Rowe and Calvin Beckman in the 2002 BMW and the Morris Minor, as there's an issue there for Daniel Lotte Sr. You see him slow down. He'll pull that car to the side of the circuit and get out of the way, as now here comes the leader into frame as well.
Right, so Franco Donadio in picture there. He's your man in second place. Up behind him, there will be Louis Powell. Louis Powell coming up there. Then it's Trevor Momberg and Jared Evans having a tussle. The two Capris are at it at the moment. Up behind them, Eric van der Merwe. But here comes Josh Dovey on the outside of Ferdy Mouton. That little car is so nimble, but Ferdy won't like that. He'll try and keep him posted. Jared Evans there. Josh Dovey, the meat and the sandwich at the moment. But I tell you what, this man is having an absolute electric afternoon as he pushes hard there, working his way there behind Ferdy Mouton.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer with 2.5 laps to go. And Josh Dovey's off and into the foam. He goes. Luckily, that foam was there. That softened the impact by a major margin. But you also saw the amount of water that was sprayed up in the big puddle. So thank goodness for those foam barriers. Once again, the foam doing what it's done, or what it's made for. Thanks again, Clint Munton and the team that put those together. So that'll definitely put out a double waved yellow, a single waved yellow for now into turn number 3, Dams Dip. And that maybe will give Ferdy Mouton a chance to sort of breathe a breath of fresh air, because he doesn't have that small, nimble thing that he probably couldn't even see in his mirrors.
There through is Trevor Hutchings in his Golf going through down the back straight. They go. Lovely fight down in Pertamina at the moment. All the cars make their way down the back straight, down towards Pertamina Fastron. So cars coming down. There's Dave Aladef ahead of him, Natasha Tissendorf. She wants to stay out the way there. It's Dancing Dave Aladev. Up behind him is Jared. Coming through. Jared Thompson. Thompson sitting there. Oh, it's a red flag.
There we did see Josh Dovey, or get confirmation that Josh Dovey was out of the car. No. Anyway, they've red flagged it with 2 laps to go. Someone's exhaust is flopping around on the circuit. That is that Jacques Blom in that Cosworth. Or sorry, the Sierra Cosworth replica, I should say. But yes, Josh Dovey is out of the car. We can't quite get the angle on that car, but you can see just in the far distance where the marshal's waving that yellow flag, one of the foam barriers has been displaced. And luckily that, in my opinion, the water, the standing water in that little dip, outside Dam's dip, funnily enough, that really helped slow the car down before it went into the foam, which did a major, major bunch of saving before the tires. So that will be over for race number 1 of Classics and Fine Cars. But still, what a brilliant race nonetheless. Very, very impressive amongst everybody. And a fastest time of 1:22.897 for the leader and winner of race number 1, Michael Hitchcock. But in Class A it was Hitchcock from Donadio, from Louis Powell, all quite close together. Then in Class B, Trevor Momberg and Jared Evans took 1 and 2 and not far between each other. Fine Cars will look back to the end, and Arnold Lambert in the Sapphire, that legendary Ford Sapphire, takes winning honours in race 1 ahead of Sandra Becker and Dave Alexander. Josh Dovey was all the way up into 8th place in that Class X Janetta. Obviously the first time out on circuit in the class, but unfortunately with that off, it'll definitely need a lot of work for what is, I can only assume, quite a rare car. It is the British brand of Janetta, and we don't see a lot of them besides the GT3 and GT4 cars that used to come down for the Cape 9 hour. But the rest of the field will peel on through the exit road and back to Parc Ferme after an unfortunate end to race number 1. But that will be the last race of the first half of the program, and we'll move into lunch in just a moment. And then we'll be back just after lunch, which will be in about 45 minutes from now, after a little bit of cleanup and some passenger laps that will go on at lunchtime. And we'll see you all again in a little while.